What's going on, guys? My name is Christopher and welcome to It's Complicated. It is a show where I talk about and showcase mostly mechanical wristwatches. Today I'm going to be showing off to you guys a watch from Boldr called the Odyssey Freediver. Here we go. So let's get down to it. What we have here is the Boldr Odyssey Freediver. Their model number is Meteo113. This is actually their prototype version, but man, this watch is sharp. Now, Boldr offers this watch brand new for right around 800 bucks. Now, this is a 40 millimeter case size, and from lug to lug is 48 millimeter. So let's talk about the movement on this watch. If you decide to buy this watch, you're gonna get a movement that's much better than what's inside this one. This one is actually a prototype model that they sent me and has the Seiko NH35A running. Now, this movement runs at 21,000 beats per hour, but if you decide to go with this watch, you're gonna get the Miyota 9015 movement, and it's gonna run at 28,000 beats per hour, a little closer to what a Rolex runs at. So it's going to be a much smoother movement in the brand new version of this watch. Now, the Odyssey Freediver is 300 meter water resistance. They also have 990 feet on the dial here as well, but most watches that say 300 meters water resistance are really just 1,000 feet water resistance. So that's pretty much what you're getting here. Let's talk about the case on this puppy. This case is made of 316L stainless steel, and you know, it's a nice case. It's a bit unique. I like how it's a little boxy in these areas. Gives it more of almost a robotic look to it. I really do like the way this watch looks. Let's check out the bezel. This bezel is definitely more scalloped, but it's not a typical scalloped bezel. Boldr's done a good job of giving this an almost unique bezel edge. It is a 120 click around bezel, and that insert is ceramic. Now it looks like that pip might be a little off to the left on this one, but again, I did mention this version is a prototype, so I imagine that is fixed on the final version, especially for a watch that costs 800 bucks. Moving on to the crystal, the Freediver has a flat sapphire crystal, and the sapphire crystal does come with AR coating on it as well. I'm not a huge fan of AR coatings because it will scratch undoubtedly, and you'll kind of notice it in certain lights. You might look at it and say, oh, there's a tiny little scratch there, but I haven't noticed it on this one in particular. However, I did have an Omega with AR coating on it, and in certain light you could always see how scratched it was. Just not my favorite thing. That being said, it does not harm the watch. Let's have a look at the crown here. Crown has a nice grip on it there, and that Boldr logo on it as well. Doesn't look too thick, too chunky. Nice looking crown. Let's check out the case back on this watch. Nice case back there. Not a display case back, just a solid piece of steel. Does tell you a lot of information on the watch right on the back there, and it does have a really cool piece of artwork embossed on there as well. On to many people's favorite part, the dial and the hands. And man, this dial is so cool. Just look at it in that light. The dial is actually made of true meteorite, and man, that just gives it a lot of charm, especially in certain light. It looks real good. I really, really like the dial on this watch. Just look at that. That looks pretty awesome. I imagine since it is made of meteorite, what you're going to get is every dial is going to be truly unique in how it is textured, and that is pretty incredible, to say the least. Another thing I like about the dial is 12, 3, and 9 are a little bigger than the other hour markers here, and the date being at the 6 o'clock position definitely helps the dial stay more symmetrical. The hands are great too. I like that they have two parts of lume on them, and I love that second hand, that orange tip there. and it's got a bit of lume on it itself as well. Speaking of lume, check out the lume here using the Super Luminova, which is what Rolex used to use, although this time it's blue. Looks pretty sharp. Moving on to the bracelet. The bracelet's made with that same 316L steel that the case is made of, and it just looks really good. It has a great finish. It is brushed, but you can't see the grain as well as you can on some of the other brushed stainless steel watches that I've checked out. Very nice. No screw-in links, so it does have the push pin links on this one if you're going to need to adjust it, which you probably will, but not hard. And again, I don't think it takes away from the watch, especially at the price point we're talking here. Let's look at the clasp. It does have a deployant clasp to it with the push buttons on the side, and it does have the extra flip over part there with that Boldr logo right on it. Once this thing is on your wrist, it's definitely not going anywhere until you tell it to. And there is the watch on the wrist. I think it looks really good, not too big, not overly chunky. And again, with that dial, I just love that meteorite dial. That is so cool. Such a nice bit of charm that really adds to the watch. The hands are good, markers are good. That's a sharp looking piece. And that is the Boldr Odyssey Freediver. What a sharp looking piece. I love the way the steel looks on that watch. I love that meteorite dial. I like the lume on that watch. That is a great looking piece for what I think is a pretty fair price at $800. And that's going to do it for this episode of It's Complicated. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy what I presented to you. And you know what? If you didn't enjoy it, go ahead and leave a big fat dislike for me as well. And I'll see you next time on another episode of It's Complicated.